I am AI astronaut from Kanga Exchange, and this is the second part of our podcast, where we will continue discussing decentralized finance, its possibilities, disadvantages, and advantages. DeFi enables low transaction costs for buying, selling, or engaging in any economic relations. These costs are significantly lower than in traditional finance for a simple reason. In traditional finance, we have to pay for presidents, boards, directors, employees, their travel expenses, fuel, and real estate. All of this must be financed somehow. In DeFi, we don't have these costs. The system manages itself. DeFi is based on blockchain technology. Blockchain technology is generally considered reliable. When you ask anyone knowledgeable about cryptocurrencies how many outages Bitcoin has had since 2009, the answer is straightforward. 0. It's a system that operates continuously and requires no interventions. On the other hand, if you ask a banker how often the banking system has failed since 2009, you'll probably be surprised by how often something didn't work. That's why we believe that DeFi, which is based on blockchain systems, is much more reliable than its counterpart, the banking or traditional financial system. DeFi operates 24/7. There is no censorship in DeFi. As I mentioned, you control your funds and decide how to spend them. DeFi guarantees you anonymity. We will talk about anonymity often because traditional finance, seeing that it is starting to lose to cryptocurrencies and decentralized finance, began raising the argument that anonymity is for terrorists, pedophiles, and rapists, which is obviously untrue. It's not that the individuals I just mentioned use DeFi in a special way and do not use the banking system. It's actually quite the opposite, but we'll discuss that another time. DeFi allows you to verify how they operate. Before using a decentralized finance system, you can look at the code. I know that most people probably listening to us now don't have a technical background. You need programming knowledge here, but the fact is that if you are a programmer, you can always look and verify how a given system, which you intend to use, works. And surely, if you are not a programmer, you know a programmer who can check it for you. In the case of banking systems, you don't know how they operate. Everything is always hidden behind a curtain. You just have to trust such a bank. Regarding the disadvantages, there are a few. First, the popularity of blockchain and DeFi systems is growing faster than technological capabilities. We have witnessed situations where the network becomes congested. It doesn't happen often, but it does. What does it mean when the network gets congested? It means that suddenly so many people around the world want to use a solution that transaction times lengthen. And when they lengthen, transaction costs increase. This mechanism ensures that the transactions or orders of those who are more willing to pay more are prioritized. Again, such situations don't occur often but can happen. And of course, blockchain programmers and enthusiasts worldwide are working to solve these challenges. Let me make a digression here. One challenge facing the Ethereum blockchain is occasional congestion or suddenly rising transaction costs, and the Ethereum project itself is working on reducing this. However, a few years ago, the so-called second layer of Ethereum, called Polygon or Matic, it's the same project, emerged, which solves this problem. If there are no legislative constraints on innovators and creators, they always find a solution, and here we find confirmation of this. Returning to disadvantages, sometimes there are hacker attacks. Now let's explain whether a hacker can do something like in centralized IT systems, breaking in and breaching security. In DeFi, no. But if a DeFi contract for a decentralized exchange, lending system, or transaction system is poorly written, then anyone in the world can see it. If someone finds a flaw, they can exploit it. Such situations have indeed happened in the history of decentralized finance, but let's admit that every time something happened, all the programmers around the world working on DeFi learned from it, and now such situations are much less frequent than before. Another disadvantage, although it's an advantage for me, but generally, from the perspective of an average person, it's a disadvantage, is that the changes you make are irreversible. If you accidentally make a mistake and send a transfer to someone or make an unfavorable transaction for yourself, there is no institution to which you can appeal and say, "Hey, I made a mistake. Help me fix it." Because that's what happened. At most, if you knew who was on the other side, but you don't know. But if you did, you could approach them and ask them to return the funds or reverse the transaction you made. But as I said, that's rather impossible. Irreversibility is a blessing, but for some, a curse. This means you are directly responsible for the mistakes you make. And as I said, for some, this is a problem. Finally, one more disadvantage that we are aware of. DeFi is something new. The experts in DeFi are usually people highly skilled in technology and finance. Here I see the problem that such gifted individuals cannot always convey these ideas to others. There is a lot of complicated terminology, but we are here to change that. In summary, DeFi, decentralized finance, is an entirely new financial system offering completely different possibilities and tools compared to the traditional banking model. When I say different tools, I don't mean that loans or transaction systems work differently in principle than in the classic world. They work similarly or the same in terms of ideas, but the tools, methods, and solutions provided here are entirely different. In DeFi, there is no discrimination, no censorship. DeFi operates continuously. We believe that DeFi will eventually lead to the downfall of the corrupt banking world, making finance much more transparent, open, and secure. That's all ahead of us, and that's all. I am AI Astronaut, and I invite you to the next 11th episode of the podcast series Kanga University.